We have a place, all of us, in a long story, a story we continue, but whose end we will not see. It is the American story, a story of flawed and fallible people, united across the generations by grand and enduring ideals. The grandest of these ideals is an unfolding American promise that everyone belongs, that everyone deserves a chance, that no insignificant person was ever born. Americans are called to enact this promise in our lives and in our laws. And though our nation has sometimes halted and sometimes delayed, we must follow no other course.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the George W. Bush Presidential Center, Ken Hersh.
Good morning and welcome to the 2025 Forum on Leadership. And thank you all for being here, and those on the live stream, thank you for tuning in. Special thanks to President and Mrs. Bush for their inspiration, and special thanks also to all those who support our work. We could not do it without people who make an investment here. At the Bush Center, we believe in values, values upon which our country was formed: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But today is a good time to be reminded of those values. And it's important to understand that these values were aspirational values, accompanied by general guidelines from our founders, who did not give us a specific rule book. That was left for us to fight over later on. This is where those who like to criticize our country miss the underlying point, that our founders were aspirational realists who designed a system built upon and designed to survive internal contradictions. Our Declaration of Independence clearly states that our leaders derived their power from the consent of the governed. Yet, they also said that if men were angels, no government would be necessary. In other words, they set out to design a system to be governed by those whom they knew were flawed. Our white male founders personally struggled with equality, both gender and racial. Yet they recognized the aspirational value that all were created equal. They argued and fought with their opponents, yet they respected the rights of free speech and assembly. Now, how could a flawed and self-interested group come up with a clear set of governing rules? The answer is, they didn't. Rather, they set us to sail with a set of aspirational values and guidelines upon which we would write policies of the day to advance towards those values. They likely knew that the best we could achieve would be a jagged line along a slow upward curve of progress. And our record of 2 steps forward and 1 step back is nearly perfect. But it's important to note how far we've come along that curve. Our democracy has proven to be self-healing. Look at the measures of self-correction that we have taken as a nation: ending slavery, guaranteeing women the right to vote, civil rights amendments, the end of Jim Crow laws, and we have preserved the right to free press and, for the most part, free expression. Now, I am not naive to the hard work that we still have to do in these areas, but I also want to mark the progress we've made from a really unequal starting point. Our framers institutionalized messiness and the best-case scenario of 2 steps forward and 1 step back. A federalist system with a tug-of-war between state and federal power, 3 co-equal branches of government, and the 4th estate protected by free speech and free assembly, all built a temple of inefficiency to keep the central authority in check and to keep power rooted in the people. And despite our flaws, this was better than the alternatives, since the founders feared too much consensus from a central government. Today, we are witnessing a moment in time, like those that we have seen before in this country, where political pendulums are swinging, and the 3 branches of government's relative power is being challenged. Yet underneath it all our nation's values have not changed. While the manner in which our leadership executes these values may change, they do it in full view of the electorate that is poised to vote again every 2 years. This dynamic has held despite its challenges over the decades. As President Bush knows all too well, and as Will Rogers explained, that's the trouble with a politician's life. Somebody is always interrupting it with an election. And that interruption is a good thing. Which brings me to our role here at the Bush Center, to not only promote these values, but also to defend them, as is our responsibility. When Ben Franklin emerged from the Constitutional Convention in 1787 and was asked if the closed-door session produced a republic or a monarchy, he replied, "A republic if you can keep it," which means both that it was our job to protect it and its survival was not guaranteed. Nearly 200 years later, Ronald Reagan warned that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Nearly 30 years after that, President George W. Bush drove that point home much more succinctly, I might add, as is his style, in his second inaugural when he said, "America is a nation of citizens, not spectators." These leaders together have sent us a clear set of marching orders. While the American people as a whole are good, we know from history that those who are not angels are still out there. And from time to time, our fundamental values come under threat by those populists who push flawed policies of nativism, protectionism, and isolationism. These ideologies are short-sighted. They are not consistent with the values upon which this country's success has been achieved. Harry Truman said that the only thing new in the world is the history you don't know. And it seems like every 50 to 100 years, these philosophies get trotted out by societies again, even if they've been empirically proven to be wrong or dangerous. Throughout time, either through crises or otherwise, good people have risen to the occasion to defeat these forces of populism, and they go back into hibernation. History teaches us that regimes built upon fear do not last. At the Bush Center, we know we are on the right side of history, promoting economic opportunity, fiscal responsibility, social tolerance, strong domestic institutions, and knowing that the U.S., while not always getting it right, is still a force for good in the world. We not only defend these aspirational values, but we also work to show the world what they look like in practice. We're both a think tank and, as President Bush stresses, a do tank. We focus on ensuring opportunity for all, strengthening our democracy, and advancing free societies around the world. Ensuring opportunity for all means helping markets work for everyone, supported by a government that does fewer things, but does them well. It means promoting secure borders and responsible immigration policies that reflect our welcoming heritage and economic necessity. It means promoting literacy and education that serve every student. And it means seeing to it that our nation's veterans have the respect and support that they deserve. Strengthening our democracy means promoting pluralism and having uncomfortable conversations in a manner that honors, respects, and teaches. And we know that America can be strong at home, lead with our allies abroad, and respect the rule of law to advance freedom. We are unapologetic globalists who believe that leadership is our strength. When we retreat, vacuums are filled by those who want to hurt or undermine us. We treat our friends as friends, and we call out our adversaries. We could not be more blunt. It is in our national security and economic interest to be a global leader, supporting freedom, democracy, and using our soft power to rid the world of diseases like HIV/AIDS through the important PEPFAR program, and to support the young democracy Ukraine against the war criminal that invaded it. While our politics may have entered a questioning period, we at the Bush Center are confident in the American people as inclusive, creative, aspiring, and an innovative bunch. We see that firsthand in our leadership programs that bring people from across the spectrum willing to work together to find solutions to pressing challenges. They are strengthening our democracy by putting their values into action. We see that in the tremendous response we get from all over the country to the Bush Institute's pragmatic policy work. Rest assured, it may not make headlines or viral tweets, but our work is noticed in the halls of influence where it really counts. As Dwight Eisenhower said, you don't lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership. We believe in real leadership here. And our engagement agenda has brought our values to the public. As you know, this is my last time as CEO hosting this forum, as our board is hard at work locating my successor. We began this program in 2018 as a way to bring the world to the Bush Center and the Bush Center to the world. We have shared important and tough topics. We have created content viewed by hundreds of thousands of people around the world to highlight leadership and values. It has been the honor of a lifetime for me to share this stage with so many. Our conversations have included Bono, Jeff Bezos, Henry Kissinger, Jim Mattis, Indra Nooyi, Glenn Youngkin, Condi Rice, Bill Gates, Melinda French Gates, and President Bush, of course, and many others. This stage has become a prized piece of real estate that stands for something. It stands for freedom. It stands for opportunity. It stands for accountability, and it stands for compassion. And it stands for all this with civility, respecting the dignity of our fellow citizens and our constitutional principles. In short, it stands on the shoulders of President and Mrs. Bush. Principled, timeless leadership never goes out of style. Our forum today is structured around the American Promise, President Bush's first inaugural address in 2001, which had a call to action urging citizens to embrace the ideals of liberty, responsibility, and collective effort to secure a prosperous future. Consistent with that theme, today we will hear from immigrants who are making this country better, educators who care about the future, journalists who care about the dissemination of truth, and importantly, we'll hear directly from President